Last week, when they were attending a ceremony for military honors, 19 Ukrainian soldiers serving on the front lines in the Zaporizhzhia area were killed by a Russian missile attack. President Vladimir Putin has not declared that he will seek re-election, according to the Kremlin, despite a news story claiming otherwise. Moscow claims to have successfully tested the launch of an intercontinental ballistic missile from one of its submarines that is capable of delivering nuclear warheads. Regarding the front line in the Zaporizhzhia region, Russia and Ukraine have presented different reports. Moscow claims to have stopped Kyiv's counteroffensive, while the Ukrainian army insists on continuing. After 19 Ukrainian servicemen were killed by a Russian missile attack while attending a ceremony for military honors on the front lines, a criminal investigation was launched. Despite a media story that he would, the Kremlin maintains President Vladimir Putin has not announced that he will seek re-election. Moscow claims to have successfully tested the launch of an intercontinental ballistic missile from one of its submarines that is capable of delivering nuclear warheads. The Ukrainian grain port of Odessa is bombarded by Russia. Radio Free Europe says it fears Russia has taken one of its journalists hostage for a potential prisoner swap with the US and is appealing to Moscow not to treat her cruelly. Also, Kremlin, a Russian-American journalist for Radio Free Europe/Radio Liberty, RFE/RL, has been in Russian custody since October 18th. My view is when she entered the country last May, they saw her as a potential hostage and they wanted to watch and wait and listen and learn, RFE's acting president, Jeffrey Gedmin, told the Reuters news agency. And then suddenly, they escalated, they arrested and they published a very vivid video of her in handcuffs being carted off. They published the photo page of her passport, and they published the address of her mother. It was a quick acceleration, very brazen, very aggressive. In June, she was also briefly arrested when attempting to depart Russia following a visit to her mother. Since the beginning of the conflict in Ukraine in February 2022, Kremlin, 47, is the second American journalist detained in Russia. Following the success of its campaign to take over the nearby town of Bakhmut in May, Russia appeared to be stepping up its efforts to seize the town of Avdiivka last week. Alexander Stupin, a spokesman for the Ukrainian Southern Forces, calculated that 5,000 Russians had perished or been injured during the attempt to seize Avdiivka. Alexander Syrsky, the commander of Ukraine's ground forces, claimed that Russia had shifted from defense to offense in Bakhmut. Was it a historic mistake for Western politicians to continue NATO's eastward expansion despite knowing that doing so would enrage Russia? According to Jeffrey Sachs, a professor at Columbia University, the Biden administration ought to be attempting to find a solution because the U.S. caused the catastrophe in Ukraine. Special troops from the southern Russian region of Chechnya have begun training with a sizable group of former Wagner Group mercenaries. In a statement posted on Telegram, Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov stated that his Akhmat force was putting a lot of former Wagner fighters through rigorous training. I am glad that today the ranks of the famous Akhmat unit have been joined by fighters who have excellent combat experience and have proven themselves as brave and efficient warriors. I am confident in the upcoming battles they will fully live up to their reputation. He published a video, accompanied by stirring music, showing soldiers in combat training, including some wearing Wagner insignia on their uniforms and masks over their faces. Kadyrov said the drills included shooting, field medicine, and training for snipers, machine gunners, sappers and artillerymen. It was not clear how many Wagner fighters are taking part or whether any will stay on with Chechen forces after the training is over. Wagner played a prominent role in some of the fiercest fighting of Russia's war in Ukraine, but its future was thrown into question when its leader Yevgeny Prigozhin was killed in a plane crash in August, 2 months after leading a brief mutiny against the Russian defense establishment. Ukrainians must preserve unity to ensure safety, their leader said in a post dedicated to soldiers, medical staff, and communal workers. On X, Zelensky wrote, "Many different people have dedicated their lives to ensuring that Ukraine endures. Our frontline heroes. People from all walks of life. We must be grateful, preserve unity, and walk this path together to protect Ukraine and ensure a safe future for our children and grandchildren." The Odessa Fine Arts Museum, located in the center of the southern city in one of the oldest Tsarist era palaces, sustained major damage from a missile blast. A video depicting broken windows and wreckage inside what seemed to be the art house was released by the Odessa City Council. The strike created a several-meter deep hole in the roadway close to the museum.